morning. This is Daniel Kennebrew. This is our weekly Bible study recap. You already know that we're getting ready for the year 2019, so we're trying our very best to prepare ourselves accordingly and do all we can. And last night we talked about living in community. It is said in Genesis chapter 1 verse 26 that it is not good for man to be alone. This is not a marriage scripture, but this is a life principle, that it is not good for you to be alone, for any of us to live alone, to not listen to other people's opinions, to not be open to other people's critiques. We need each other to be the best we can be. Even in the analogy of the church, God said he made some eyes, some nose, all these different things, the hearing, and we have to work together to be all together. Now, here's the issue. Here's the struggle. A lot of times when we live in community, we start to live in comparison. And that's never what God has called you to do. He said live in community, not live in comparison. And to prove this point, we looked at Mark chapter 8, where Jesus healed the blind man and immediately he restored his sight. We looked at Mark chapter 10, where Jesus healed the blind man. But the first time he said he saw people as trees and it wasn't clear. And Jesus had to do it again. And then all of a sudden, he could see clearly. And then in John chapter 9, it says this, John chapter 9 verse 6, when he spat on the ground, made clay, anointed the eyes of the blind man, and then told him to go wash in the pool. Now notice, all three men received their sight, but God did it differently. One, he gave it to immediately. One after 2 tries. The other person had to actually go and do work. Had to go to the pool, find time. Now, here's our struggle. A lot of times we look at our life and measure other people's progress against our own. And that's never what God has called you to do. Everybody has their own path. That's why we used the statement last night, different strokes for different folks. Some people get married early. Some people get married later. Some people have children early. Some people have children later. All these different things. You apply for a job, you waited 6 months to get it. Somebody else applied for the job and 2 years later, they still hadn't heard. Different strokes for different folks. God never wants us to live in comparison to other people. This is the struggle sometimes with social media and things of that nature, because we compare ourselves. And when we compare ourselves, we usually vote ourselves as not good enough or we're doing something wrong. But in reality, God may have a perfect plan, perfect timing just for you. So what I'm asking you to do, build your faith. Learn to celebrate other people. That's faith. Learn to mourn with other people. That's faith. Knowing that your time is coming. Help somebody else start their business. Help somebody else with their children. Help somebody else build their life, and God will take note of your character, and I believe he will reward you in due time. That's why the scripture says, be not weary in well doing, but in due season you shall reap if you faint not. So what am I telling you? Live in community, but not in comparison to what other people are doing in their life. Chart out your own course. Let God direct your steps. Different strokes for different folks, but it all leads to the blessings and the favor in the glory of God. So we ask that you take your time, do what's right, take your time, celebrate others, take your time, help others build, and God will note your character and reward you in due time. Don't give up, believe in others, live in community, but not in comparison. Until next week, have a great day.